You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments. Ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR. Projects management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company. Attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. Rudman Relight. The IFCO. Chiro Moguls. Chiro Health USA. Sherman College of Chiropractic. Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. This episode of Chiro Hustle is brought to you by Relight Hydration by Redmond. Here's the truth. Most Americans are walking around dehydrated, low energy, brain fog, muscle cramps, headaches, and they think they need more caffeine, when what they actually need are electrolytes. Hydration isn't just water. It's sodium, potassium, and trace minerals that help your body actually absorb and use the water. That's where Relight comes in. Made with Redmond real salt. No artificial junk, no neon dyes, no sugar overload, just clean, balanced electrolytes designed to support hydration, muscle function, and optimal daily performance. And here's the best part. Grab their sample pack with multiple flavors so you can find your favorite. Once you dial it in, it's an easy daily habit you'll stick with for life. Chiropractors understand this. The nervous system runs on electrical signals. Electrolytes help support that communication. If you're tired or feeling drained by 2 p.m., this is your upgrade. Go to chirohustle.com and get 25% off Relight with our exclusive promo. If you want a wholesale Redmond products, see the show notes for the wholesale application. Hydrate smarter, perform better, stay aligned.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 767 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Ronald Farabaugh. And if you want to hear a conversation about leadership and research, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Today I have Ron Farabaugh on with me. I'm really excited to have this conversation. It's been a long time coming. I met Ron at a Chiro Congress in Denver, like maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now.
Oh my God.
Been getting to know him ever since, and we're excited to have him on to the show. He's episode 767. We've been doing this show for about 8.5 years. But before we get into his story, I want to let you know our big why. Why do we do what we do at Chiro Hustle? Well, first things first is freedom of speech. We believe everybody has something to say, and we never censor anybody because we know what it's like to be shadow banned and traffic throttled and censored ourselves, and we'd never do that to anybody else. So freedom of speech is so important to the advancement of humanity, and especially over here in America, we really thrive on that. So we also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. We know they're not the same things, but if you need guidance on those topics, reach out to a chiropractor in your neighborhood. Chiropractically speaking, when it comes to philosophy, we love philosophy over here. We believe in BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust, and we believe in protecting that. So if you don't know what that is, go to the show notes, click on Sacred Trust. It doesn't matter if you've been practicing 2 years or 30 years, you're going to fall back in love with the profession that you chose. Or if you're not a chiropractor and you're watching our show, you're going to learn more about chiropractic than you previously did. I guarantee you. We also believe in subluxation-based chiropractic. I know I shouldn't have to say that, but they're taking that out of the colleges and changing the lexicon of the profession. So if you know a chiropractic student or a new grad, please share the show with them so they get the information that we believe that they should deserve. We also believe in innate intelligence, universal intelligence, and educated intelligence. I know it sounds woo-woo, but we also believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And with that creates educated intelligence. This is episode 767. Ron, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, so we were just talking. You went to Palmer College, 79 to 82.
Yes.
How did you decide chiropractic was the right pathway for you?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. I was actually pre-med. My whole life, I was interested in medicine all through high school. My life dream was to become a surgeon. And I entered the University of Pittsburgh in 1976, and get through 76. But in 77, something happened. And what happened is I'm in my pre-medical curriculum. My father, who had been on high blood pressure medication for like 15 years, had a stroke. And I went home to visit him in the hospital. And it was a minor stroke that he recovered from. But I went home to visit him, and I found out they took him off all the medication: Aldomate, Ismalin, Enderol, and Enderon and Inderol. I'll never forget them. And I did some research on these drugs. I said, "Why'd you take them off the drugs?" And they kind of hem-hawed around. They finally admitted, well, it was the drugs that they think caused the stroke. It took his blood pressure down literally too far. So I went back to Pitt's pharmacy library, and I didn't know at the time, but you weren't allowed in the pharmacy library because you're a pharmacy student. Here I am, second year undergrad, and I'm looking all these drugs up, and I got all these books around me. And what I found was each drug relieved a symptom of his blood pressure. One worked on his brain, one worked on his heart, one worked on his kidneys. One took water out of his system, and none of them got to the cause of why he had high blood pressure. It was just symptom drug, symptom drug, symptom drug. And I wound up having a conversation with a couple of pharmacy students, a professor of pharmacology in that library, and I think even the dean of pharmacy joined us eventually. And we sat there and just discussed drugs for two hours, really. And after that conversation was over, I was so disheartened. It just was a gut punch of, I don't want to go into medicine. But I knew I wanted to stay in the health field, so I checked out a dentist office and definitely didn't want to do that. A podiatrist office, definitely didn't want to do that. And osteopathy. I checked out a whole bunch of stuff. And one of the places I went was a chiropractic office. And I saw that guy taking down people's blood pressure with an adjustment right then and there in the office while I was watching. Like, okay, how does that work? And he simply explained, the homeostasis. He explained the nervous system, the spine, the nervous system, how it all works together, and health in general. And I went, oh my God, that makes so much sense. So I went home and announced I'm going to go to chiropractic college against the wishes of my family, who are all very, very medical. And I never looked back. I never regretted that decision for a second. And I've had a wonderful 44-year career in chiropractic in all aspects of chiropractic. I've seen the good, bad, the ugly in this field. And I'm more excited today about being a chiropractor than I was in 1982 when I graduated. And in fact, I actually went back to practice after being off for 8 years, thanks to 40 years of Gonstead and 6 joint replacements. I physically couldn't do it. But after being off for 8 years, working as a medical director for AMI, I went back to practice in January because I missed it so much. And it was like riding a bike. It was amazing. The first couple patients I took care of, it's just magical. I mean, when you stop to think that using nothing more than these hands, you can take somebody in ill health, and these patients happen to come in for headaches, mid-back pain, one severe lower back pain, and in just a few visits, they're dramatically out of pain. In just a few visits, using nothing but these. And then the conversation extends to, okay, now what can we do to work on your health and wellness and longevity long term? And it's just a blast. I'm having so much fun. It's cash. I'm not taking insurance. And it's just been a blast.
Well, I've always really admired the practice of chiropractic, just because it's the things you're saying. And BJ would say, BJ Palmer would say, chiropractic puts nothing extra in the body, takes nothing out, just removes the interference. The body self-heals, self-regulates, which is really the baseline of what I think like anybody out there needs to understand about chiropractic. Like the chiropractor finds it, like Gonstead, you're a Gonstead practitioner, find it, fix it, leave it alone.
Right.
And the body self-heals and self-regulates, which is a miracle. Like we think, in the real world, as you saw what happened to your dad, people are over medicalized and they have way too much influence with pharmacology. And then they become skeptical about chiropractic.
Right. That's true.
And that's just it. It's like the doctor that's going to do the least amount to you, you're skeptical of. And, I think we just need to retrain the culture a little bit. But just like your early conversations with the people in the pharmacy discussions, it's all research. And the more research is done, the more clarity you can give and the more legitimacy you can give to the profession. Before I jump into the next question for you, I am curious, how did you end up in Davenport, Iowa, of all places, for chiropractic school?
Well, one of my very best friends in high school, his dad was a chiropractor, and he went to Palmer, and Palmer was the fountainhead. And even though I had lots of options of different colleges to go to in much better climates, I wanted to go to the fountainhead. I wanted to go to where it all started.
What was it like there? Did you, was BJ still around?
No, I miss BJ. I miss Clarence Gonstead. But what was cool about Palmer was we had guys like Virgil Strang for philosophy. I went up to Mount Horeb to learn Gonstead, like 8 separate weekends. I interned at the Troxel Clinic. Dr. Troxel was a understudy of Gonstead, who I've never seen anybody yet to this day be able to adjust like Larry Troxel did. And so it was great. I learned how to adjust at Palmer. If you're going to be a chiropractor, you better learn how to adjust. There was no other school, in my belief at that time, that taught adjusting better than Palmer. So that's why I went there.
And then this topic of research, I know you do work with the Clinical Compass. Mm-hmm. Talk about the power of research and awareness and why it's so important.
Great question. If we want to advance this profession, we have to be way more aware of the literature. Years ago, I just adopted the philosophy that we're in a war and evidence is our best weapon. You and I can talk about philosophy all day long, right? They don't want to hear that at a policy decision-making table at the State House, right? What they want to know is where's the research, where's the cost-effectiveness studies, where's that stuff. So I knew we were in a war. Research is our best weapon. So I got involved in, and I'm not a researcher, by the way. I'm a chiropractor that had a keen interest in research because I knew how important it was. But I got involved with the Clinical Compass. Next thing you know, I'm on a team to do a research paper under the tutelage of Cheryl Hawk and people like Mike Schneider. And one thing led to another. Next thing you know, it's 15 published papers later, and pretty much having a very keen understanding of guidelines. It really changes things when you can cite the literature. It takes the doubt out of the conversation because anybody can say anything. And it's one of my pet peeves on Facebook when somebody says, according to the research, blah, 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 and they don't put a link. Well, how do we know they didn't just make that up? Where's the link? Where's the actual research paper? I want to go read it. I want to go see what it says. But if you're in a world of PI, work comp, malpractice, he who knows the research wins is what it comes down to. And if society cannot ignore this research forever, right? And we're in a better position now than we've ever been in, thanks to the Clinical Compass. You realize in 2025 alone, Clinical Compass researchers produced over 80 research papers. And that body is so important to our profession. Everybody's listening. If you don't have a membership to Clinical Compass, it costs like $6 a month to belong to the Evidence Center. And the Evidence Center has like 17 different domains, different topics, all updated with current literature. So if you're looking for anything, marketing articles you want to put out in your office to the public on Facebook, information you want to send AMDs, the Clinical Compass does what you don't have time to do. And that is sift through the thousands and thousands of research papers that are produced every year. That's what this body does. And they summarize it and put it on the Clinical Compass website. So it's really an important tool for our profession.
Well, I don't know if you remember me telling you this, but when we first started talking, I told you I started my career working in chiropractic biophysics.
Uh-huh.
And I worked as a rehab tech for 6 years. And the thing I loved about that group was the CBP group is they get published in major journals,
Right.
and they are spreading chiropractic outside of the chiropractic domain and getting it mainstream. And like you're saying, it's so important. And that work, the people that don't want to sit and create research papers, they should support the people that do that work so we can have a stronger position in the marketplace.
That's exactly right. I don't disagree.
So who must we educate with this to advance awareness and benefits of chiropractic? Like who is our target market?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is going to be maybe a little surprising to you. But, in 2024, we produced a cost effectiveness paper. This is cost effectiveness chiropractic versus medical care with adults with musculoskeletal spine pain. And what it shows is when you go to a chiropractor, there's a decrease in opioids, decrease in cost, decrease in ER visits, hospitalization, inpatient days, advanced imaging, referrals to specialists. I mean, going to a chiropractor might cost X, but there's 8 other line items on a budget that it lowers, that it decreases. And so it's important to get out and tell that story that when you go to a chiropractor, the 2 big takeaways from our paper were when you go to a chiropractor, downstream services reduce along with their costs. And the other takeaway was who you go to first matters. I wish everybody would adopt that unique selling proposition, put it in your office, and take the papers that are within that paper. There's 44 really good papers summarized in that cost effectiveness paper. And every week just put did you know? And then who you go to first matters. And I can send anybody, by the way, that's listening to this podcast, 12 of those right off the bat. You just email me and I'll send you 12 of them. So you can start putting them in your office. But the average chiro wants to take that paper and send it to the insurance company in an effort to get more money, get paid better, and reduce benefit and increase benefits, decrease copays. And my response has always been, that's just a monumental waste of time. The insurance companies don't care. And I'm not knocking insurance. I mean, I'm not a naysayer to insurance necessarily. They're there to fill a purpose, but primarily they're there to create a profit for themselves, right? But they cover, people need, if you think about it, people need this much in their lifetime, right? Who doesn't believe in chiropractic care, birth to death? But insurance, the next thing out of my mouth is either going to really upset you or liberate you. Insurance only pays for this much of it. That's it. Here's what you need for your lifetime. Insurance pays for this much of it. It's kind of like having car insurance. They pay when you get in a wreck. That's it. And with health insurance, they pay to get you out of pain, and that's it. It's not health insurance. It's not health care, but don't confuse it. What you do and I do, that's health care. What we do with our hands, that's health care. Insurance just happens to pay for a little bit of it. That's it. So I just look at insurance as marketing. People come into my office because I'm on the list. That's it. I get them out of pain as fast as I can, transition them to cash and wellness and lifelong care if they choose to opt for that. But sending that cost effectiveness paper to the insurance company, it's not effective. So who do you send it to? Think of this for a second. How many chiropractors out there know people that work in a union or they know union bosses? If you take this paper along with the PowerPoint that we can create, I can send to anybody that's interested. I can send you the PowerPoint and I'll show you exactly how to use it to educate a union on why chiropractic is important for their members and the benefits to their members. And then if the union goes, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Guess what happens? In their next union contract with the big self-insured employer, they go to the self-insured employer and say, all right, here's our new contract. And for healthcare, this is what we want. And by the way, for chiropractic, we want no copays, no deductibles, no pre-auth, no medical gatekeepers, and we want the chiros paid as they should be paid, right? And here's the benefits of doing that. Your insurance company, you are going to save a lot of money. And here's why, here's the proof, right? So the contract gets signed because the employers, they have to have, workers, right? So they sign this contract, right? Now the employer goes, guess where? To the insurance carrier and say, okay, we want you to manage our benefit, but for chiropractic, this is what we're going to do. So that decision's getting driven by the workers, by the unions, by the self-insureds. They're telling the insurance company what to do. It's not the other way around. You're never gonna try to do it from the top down. It's from the bottom up. And that's where we need an army of people, just literally an army of people willing to meet with unions, self-insured employers, manufacturers associations, legislators. I mean, that's what we need. And that means, I'll jump ahead just a little bit if you don't mind, James, but that means everybody should belong to the state association, right? The strength of chiropractic in this country is in direct proportion to the strength of our state associations. And the strength of state association is in direct proportion to the membership. So if you're not a member, then I want you to rethink it, because if we don't all join together, how are we ever going to change this, right? We have to have an army of people willing to do that. It can't be just a couple people in each state. It doesn't work that way, right? So join your local associations, your state associations, and your national associations. The ACA, ICA, they can't accomplish diddly in Washington if they don't have the financial support of membership, right? That's why that's so critical. And then the clinical compass is providing the research that they need to advance their argument. So it's really, really important that everybody belong and get engaged.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments, ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR, practice management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company, attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. Redmond Relight, the IFCO, Chiro Moguls, Chiro Health USA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. Hey docs, let me ask you something. Are you adjusting patients but not adjusting your revenue? Because a lot of chiropractors are still undercharging without even realizing it. They're accepting insurance allowances that are just too low, and they're hesitant to raise the fees because they're worried about pushback from patients. The problem is, when your fees and financial systems aren't aligned, it creates a slow leak in your practice. And when you try to grow, more marketing, more patients, maybe even another location, the leak gets bigger. There's actually a smarter way to handle this. Chiro Health USA helps chiropractors charge appropriately when insurance is available, while still serving cash or limited benefit patients through a compliant discount medical plan. The results? Many practices see revenue increases around 15 to 20% without adding more visits. Same patients, better margins, more freedom. If you want to stop leaving money on the table and build a practice that's both profitable and compliant, check out chirohealthusa.com to learn more.
Well, I think there's a lot of great takeaways there for anybody watching. You know, I'm a student of John DeMartini. And I always like to tell people there might be a couple things we're going to say today that you want to take your pen and paper out and take some notes on, just because I think it's valuable information. And always go back, guys, and hit the refresh and the replay on these segments so you can get the information down that you need. And reach out to Ron if you have questions about getting that PowerPoint and the outreach strategies that he's recommending to you. And for me, I always tell people do least invasive first. And I think that's just good, solid advice. Like,
right.
Why wouldn't you try something that could stop you from having a deeper level of intervention that really costs not just you more money, but costs everybody on the bus more money?
That's right.
And if you want to keep if you want to be shrewd as an investor and invest in yourself, you should also think about, what is the consequence of poorly investing in my health? You know, me growing up in Iowa, I was just on another podcast earlier, and I said, if somebody fell ill, we'd sell the farm to save them. You know, we'd do whatever we can to save our loved one from poor health.
Right.
And I think that self-responsibility has to come back to our culture. It has to come back that it's not somebody else's money, it's our money. And we have to spend with a conscious decision that this is going to be the best thing for me to have the best outcome. And people do, I think they're seeing a big wake up call where the house of cards is tumbling with the medical arena. And they're like, well, who's going to tell me the truth now?
Right.
And I really believe that chiropractors have been, that's why I opened my show with find a neighborhood chiropractor that can help you with family health and medical health freedom, because those are the real assets that still are out there that want to give you their time. They want to trade their time for your money. And the other system is way different. They want you to become a statistic and a number, and they don't care if they get to know you. And the chiropractor is going to be like, well, by the way, I want to take care of your kids. I want to take care of your partners. I want to take care. Can I go do a talk at your business? Like the chiropractic profession wants to liberate people, and earn the money the right way by rendering a great service. So I think that's a responsible part of the conversation too. Is there are a group of people out there called chiropractors that want to help you and your family long term, like you were saying. You can get them in on the insurance bill for the first whatever that will cover. But then you have to talk to them about what does it look like to, not have subluxation for the rest of your life. Well, that's a responsible conversation that chiropractors are chomping at the bit to have. Like, they're like, we can't have enough for these conversations. We don't have enough people to tell this to. So I think the recruitment angle is definitely important. We have to get the information to the people that are helping make change in the policy. And I think, as we've seen 2024 turned the corner, and now we're in 2026. There's been 2 years now where we're starting to see a change in trend where people are starting to prioritize health a little bit more, I think.
Right.
Students, I always like asking advice to students. What advice would you give to students today?
That's a super great question. Students, if you're a student out there, the number one thing, you're going to be a chiropractor. So you better know how to adjust. I mean, that's the fundamental thing that we do. Now, that's not the only thing that we do, right? There's lots of different tributaries in the chiropractic world, right? Some chiropractors go into sports, some med, some research, some radiology, neurology, nutrition, functional medicine. I mean, there's lots of different things you can do in chiropractic with that chiropractic degree. But at the heart of it all, patients primarily come to you for an adjustment, right? Unless you're a really well-known functional medicine doc. I get no problem with that. I refer to several of them because we need that, right, as an alternative to traditional medicine. But you better learn how to adjust. So one thing I advise you to do right from your first quarter, start to get together with groups of your colleagues and start setting up, start doing some adjusting. Wait, I didn't say that. No. I mean, but you got to start becoming skilled at an adjustment and skilled at finding where to adjust. And that's a really important thing. I'll never forget my first quarter in chiropractic college where we're meeting in this house, and this upper quarter guy is teaching us how to adjust and teaching us how to find a subluxation. I'm like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. Where's the subluxation? What is a subluxation? And from across the room, he says, well, I can see it. I'm like, what? I'm thinking to myself, did I make a mistake? Right? But if you really want to get to the science of it all, I mean, Jay Trano's paper on determining where to adjust is a paper everybody should read. How do you determine where you're going to adjust somebody? And the reason that is so important is because, we have 200 different techniques out there, right? And you have CBP, you have Thompson, you have Gunstead, you have, Pettibon, you have upper cervical. You have so many different techniques. How are you going to determine where to adjust? So by the time you leave Palmer or whatever chiropractic college you go to, you're going to gravitate towards a technique that seems to fit you, right? For me, it was Gunstead, right? And that's great. For you, it might be CBP. For you, somebody else, it might be Thompson. It might be just myofascial work for somebody else. But either way, if you're going to do what we do for a living, you better have lots of tools in your tool belt, because one size manipulation doesn't necessarily fit all, right? And you better have different things that you can do, different techniques. So learn one technique really, really good, because that's going to be your core technique. But you got to know a couple others, and maybe even some instrument assisted techniques, things like that. The second part of the advice after just learning how to adjust is, keep your debt as low as you can. Get a part-time job if you have to. Let that part-time job pay your rent, pay your bills. Don't use your loan money to buy a car, to go on vacation, things like that. Students are getting out of school with so much debt. But back when I went to school, everybody worked. Well, not everybody. The richer kids. Sadly, I didn't come from that environment, but those in my ilk had to work. We just did, right? And so keep your debt as low as you can. Understand all education is important in chiropractic college. And I know, and some people may take issue with what I'm about to say, and I don't mean to ruffle feathers or anything like that. It's just that subluxation is a great service to find it, fix it, right? However, you've got to learn more than just how to fix a subluxation. I'll give you an example. And I learned this the hard way from a patient of mine. He's come in over and over and over every week. He's got to come in and get adjusted. It just is not holding. And I said, dude, tell me about your diet. I don't even know why I said it, because I even hate talking about stuff like that. But I was telling me about your diet. And and it hit me. Well, my God, if there's subluxations caused by drinking 12 Diet Cokes a day, don't you think we should have that conversation, right? So you've got to learn the body. You've got to learn everything in chiropractic college to be a well-rounded doctor. If somebody comes in with neck pain and headaches, right? Unilateral neck pain and headaches, what should you be thinking before you do a neck adjustment? You better be thinking, what are the characteristics of a vertebral artery dissection? Because like it or not, that's a reality that can happen. It's rare, but there's nothing more catastrophic to both the patient and the chiropractor to do an adjustment to somebody that's already in the sequela of the event of a dissection that winds up going into a full-blown stroke because you missed it. It's not that the adjustment causes stroke. There's some great debate about that. But where the problem comes in is not taking the time to recognize the characteristics of a stroke, or of a dissection. So you got to learn. Be an aggressive student. Don't fall for diversive rhetoric. In our profession, we have these two camps. I don't get it. It's like politics. We have so much that binds us together and so much commonality. We should be all celebrating our results. I don't care what technique you use, right? It doesn't matter. What matters is we get amazing outcomes and save the system money. We should all be celebrating each other's success instead of harping on each other that, well, you're not straight enough, you're too mixer, you're too this, you're too that. Wait a minute, we're all getting good results. Why don't we just celebrate that? We're all going to be different. That's human nature. It's okay to be different. In fact, chiropractic is like the epitome of being different. I mean, you can't be a chiropractor without being a little bullheaded, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. I don't think for a second your way is the only way. It's not. We all get good results. So don't fall for divisive rhetoric in our profession. A few more things, get out of your cocoon in your office. Would highly recommend most students get out and associate. And there's some debate about, should they associate, should they not associate? But I'm here to tell you that I put about 20 associates through my office in Columbus, Ohio, and students getting out don't know how to run a practice. And why would you? I mean, that's not what you've been taught. You've been taught to be a really good chiropractor, not run a business. And so learn the business for 2 years, working with somebody. You're not going to get paid enough. I'm telling you right now, you probably won't, because you just got to look at it as medical internship or residency. They get paid dirt wages until they get out of that residency. That's when the money comes, right? Don't be in such a rush to make $1 million, right? Just learn the trade, learn the business, read the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, because if you go into practice and you don't understand the 7 hats you got to wear to run a business, leadership, money, management, marketing, lead generation, lead conversion, lead fulfillment. You can't just be a chiropractor. You can't be, look, I don't want to worry about any of that stuff. I just want to adjust. Well, that's fine. And go be an associate, because you're going to fail in business. Right.
Well, it's like our original conversation I had with you before we jumped on here. As I go, it's called the chiropractic lifestyle.
Yeah.
It might look like the adjusting hours are very minimal, but it's a full-time gig. Just don't forget that.
Yeah.
I am curious to ask you though, like if somebody is lacking adjusting skills and they did finish with the chiropractic degree, where do you recommend them getting better at their technique and getting better at their adjusting abilities?
That's another good question. I would recommend, again, finding, do some discovery. Who is known as like the best adjuster in your area, and then ask them if they wouldn't mind you shadowing them for a week, right? And just chiropractors that are really successful love to help people. They love to help students that are asking for help. They just love to help. And if you can find somebody that doesn't want to help, just
go to the next one.
Forget the next, right? But you've got to get in there and find a mentor. That's super important, to find a mentor, find a chiropractic group. That's why hanging around the local associations is so important. Every problem you're going to face as a new business owner, as an associate, every single problem has already been dealt with by somebody else in that group. I guarantee it. That's why it's so important to belong to the local associations, go to those meetings. If you don't feel confident in your adjusting skills, get together 2-3 chiropractors once or twice a week and just go over things. And that's the only way you're going to learn. It's literally the only way you're going to learn.
So you talked about mentorship. Who are some of your influences? Who are some of the mentors that helped you become the doctor you are today?
Well, there's really 4 of them that come to mind every time I get that question. One is Lou Sportelli. Lou Sportelli just had vision. An incredible public speaker, an incredible debater. I learned so much from Lou Sportelli. He got me on a path to the medical referral system that I designed years and years ago. And it was just to help educate MDs, because half my colleagues are saying, I don't want anything to do with MDs, blah, 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 because it's all philosophical. I went, wait a minute. I have the exact opposite opinion. Every one of the patients those MDs have should be in my office. And the only reason they're not is because I didn't take the time to educate them. So I started going on a campaign to educate the local medical professionals by sending them a research paper once a month, a summary, a cover letter. And this is kind of all under the tutelage of Lou Sportelli, who encouraged me to do this. And I wound up, oh my God, I sold that thing all over the world. Spain, Germany, United States, all over the place. I have doctors' testimonials saying half the referrals came from medical docs once they started sending research. Because what happens is when they see your name over and over and over and over again, every single month, when their patients go to them and say, hey, doc, these drugs aren't working, I'm thinking about going to a chiropractor. Well, if you're going to go to a chiropractor, go see James Chester, because he's got a wide database of research, and he's an evidence-based guy. And I wasn't any more evidence-based than anybody else, probably. It's just I created that perception. I became known as the chiropractor in my area in Columbus because I sent them research. I was the only one doing it. So do that. Lou Sportelli is just a true hero. Clarence Gonstead, I never met the man, but my God, the impact he has had now for decades and decades and decades over thousands of chiropractors is so inspirational. I've seen many videos of him adjusting and his gnarly hands. And Mount Horeb, a little puny spit of a town that people flew in their private jets to come see him. It was just inspiring learning the story of Clarence Gonstead. Rob Sherman, a super good friend of mine. He was an attorney, executive director for State Association. He taught me the importance. He since has passed away, God rest his soul. But he taught me the importance of communication and seek to understand. You were not an enemy of Rob if you spent 30 seconds with him. He made you a friend. He was interested in you. And we went to, I can't even tell you how many meetings I felt like I was walking in the lion's den of hate, because I was a chiropractor and these medical people hated me. And Rob would just open his mouth, and before you know it, he had a meeting out of his hand. Rob had amazing skill. And then the other is Jerry Montagna, a super good friend of mine. And the reason Jerry is a hero of mine is he started a chiropractic group called the Chiropractic Golden Circle almost 30 years ago. And his idea was, just like we're talking about mentorship, get these group of chiropractors. I mean, if you want to know how much income you're going to make, just look at who your 5 best friends are and what their average income is. Because if that's who you're hanging around with, that's pretty much where you're going to wind up settling, right? So who do you have in your life that's pulling you up? Well, Jerry, he puts this group together. It's by invite only. And if you're ever interested, let me know, and I'll see what I can do to get you in this group, because you go to these meetings. There's 3 meetings a year. Everybody speaks 20 minutes on whatever topic they want. It is amazing how frequent there's a common theme in the meeting when nobody even told anybody else what they're going to be talking about. It's just amazing. And I belong to that group for almost 30 years. Jerry put something together that's lasted 30 years. How many people can say that?
That's really cool.
And you know, some of the most successful chiropractors I've ever met, some of the brightest guys I've ever met. So, I mean, it's a cool group. And that's why it's so important to get together with other chiropractors, right? You got to get together people who are going to pull you up, not drag you down, right?
Well, there's a lot of great stuff there, Ron. I appreciate you sharing so freely of some of the people that have impact on you. I'd really like to have you introduce me to Lou. I'd love to get him on a Chiro Hustle podcast interview.
He's an amazing guy.
And yeah, if it ever turns up that there's an invite for me to come to that 30-year group, heck yeah, I'd love to speak as a non-DC for 20 minutes on whatever topic I choose.
Our guest speakers, we have speak for an hour or 2.
Okay, so, cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. Well, I'll see what I can do.
But yeah, I hate to call it an evening with you, but I know that we're coming up on the edge of our time together. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to talk about tonight?
You know, one of the things you asked me about, where's chiropractic going to be in 20 years? And the only thing I'll say to that is that depends on each of us, right? If we kind of understand that chiropractic, I mean, it's a growth, right? Virgil Strang used to say, if you stop learning, you stop growing. If you stop growing, you stop living. If you stop living, you die. And if you die, you rot. And if you rot, you stink, right? And we have to be in a mission for learning and moving forward. So there's so much research coming out. Are you doing the exact same thing you did in practice 20 years ago? Knowing there's so much research that's come out about the most effective exercise, the most appropriate exam findings, the most appropriate way to interview somebody for a consultation, the most effective way to change people's behavior so they embrace your recommendations and they change their lifestyle. There's so much information out there. It's hard to grapple with because we're so busy in practice, but you have to want to stay current. And if we stay current and if we continue to get the results that we get, society will naturally embrace us more and more and more. I'm absolutely convinced of it. And in 20 years from now, whether it's philosophy or subluxation or the results we get, I don't know, but I got to believe if we continue to get that we get that nobody else virtually is getting, then society is going to look favorably on this profession and it's going to just expand like mad. I mean, guidelines alone, my God, I could spend all night on guidelines, but if guidelines alone, if the MDs would follow their own guidelines, we'd all need 10 associates, right? The research is already there showing when you go to a chiropractor first, you reduce downstream services and costs. Every guideline in the country suggests non-pharmacological care. But we got to get out and tell them that story because the MDs aren't going to, right? I love MDs. I mean, my brother's an MD. I love him. And I've had 6 surgeries. Thank God those guys had a talent they did. So I'm not a negative MD bashing chiro. I think we all have a place. God put us all down here for a reason, including the MDs. I just happen to believe that we chiropractors are in a better position to change the trajectory of people's health care in this country by what we do with these hands and with our knowledge.
Amen. Well, the summary of that is chiropractic is about results.
Yes.
And if we can get some results and we get that long term, the profession will, by demand, which I was hoping, I've been doing this work in the profession for 17 years, and I still think that that's why I keep on promoting and fostering the relationship with media, because I thought there was a definite a miss in the marketplace for conversations like this that could get information out to the people that are interested in knowledge and they're curious. But if we don't have these conversations and we don't share these stories like this, they never understand how we can disseminate the message to them and tell that story. So I appreciate you being on with me for 767. Thanks for spending your time with me, giving me insights in the future of chiropractic that people need, and give me some of your origin story of how you got into this beautiful profession. I'm really thankful for your knowledge and the relationship that we're building. And I think the future's ours. So once again, thanks for being on Chiro Hustle.
Thank you so much. It's been a really fun time. I appreciate the time.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we put together a solid program over here, and anybody that's in the chiropractic space that wants to do a show with us, send us a message. It's chirohustle.com. And we'd love to have you on as a guest too. So I'm going to close out like I always do. And I tell everybody, you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now. See you, Ron.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.